Hello, everybody. I'd like to give a warm welcome to our guest, His Excellency Khamis Mazrouei, CEO of the Sharjah National Oil Corporation. Mr. Mazrouei, thank you so much for joining us at the Outlook Forum.
It's a pleasure always to join GI and the Energy Forum.
It's great to have you. A lot to talk about. I'd like to start by talking a bit about last year, 2025. I mean, it was quite a year for SNOC, you know, very, very dynamic year as usual, but a lot of announcements, especially towards the tail end of the year. If you look back on last year, just in your sort of perspective, what would you say were the top three sort of milestones or achievements for the company?
Since I become the CEO of SNOC in April 2025, last April, we've strengthened our operational reliability across all our assets. We maintain safe and uninterrupted production and supplies throughout the year. In June last year, we launched SNA, which is the Sharjah first utility scale solar plant. And in November, we've completed drilling our second appraisal well in Hideba field with good results. During ADIPEC, again in November, we've signed an MOU with Siemens Energy and Decahydron to develop a white hydrogen in Northern Emirates. While doing all that, we are advancing our digital transformation initiative by streamlining our workflows and improving data-driven decisions across the company. So it was a very
a fantastic year. Congratulations, and what a year for you to come into the top role. But let's touch a bit on one or two of those milestones from last year. I mean, as you said, the solar project, the SNA facility. It's one of the first projects in the world, you know, which is powering sort of an oil and gas facility with the solar energy. Was this done to sort of support SNOC's net zero journey? Again, you're in a company that's very ambitious about your net zero goals internally and also in terms of as a supplier to the Emirates and beyond. You know, how does it support specifically SNOC's net zero journey in that sense? If you can elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah, indeed, SNA, a 60 megawatt solar plant, is a major step in SNOC decarbonization journey. It actually reduced our emissions, scope 1 and 2, by 20%. So it makes us 20% ahead on our net zero target. At the same time, it's the first utility scale project in Sharjah. So it is basically the first step towards a greener and renewable projects in Sharjah. So it both support us in our net zero as a company. At the same time, it is putting the first step for Sharjah also in the renewable energy.
Absolutely. And I mean, moving on to the Hideba field again, which is, you just announced that a month ago, a major development. Does this, I mean, if you can give us a few figures on the production outlook in terms of how that contributes to Sharjah's production outlook, and you know, even the energy security of the UAE as a whole, and how that contributes towards that.
We've discovered the Hideba in 2024, and we are now appraising the field through Hideba 2 basically, and Hideba 3 also we're progressing drilling to appraise the field as well. So adding a new field to our existing 4 production fields. We have 5 gas fields in Sharjah. We've added 2 on the last 5 years, Mahani and Hideba, and we've dedicated one of the fields to gas storage. So having a new gas fields to the production stream It is increasing our basically ability in SNOC to be the reliable energy provider in Sharjah, increasing the energy security, and we do it by utilizing also gas storage. So
That's
having
right.
more in emirate production and using the gas storage magnifies the scale of the project. So we have a
Absolutely.
diversified, actually, a gas supply in Sharjah for power generation. We have our production from our fields. We have the production from the gas storage, which is a more strategic fields, and we have a third-party gas contract with ADNOC now for 10 years. So we are blending this mix to provide a gas supplies beside what we just introduced recently, Sana, a renewable energy source to the energy mix of Sharjah.
Yeah, and all, of course, all are contributing towards the energy security of the UAE, but also beyond that as a critical supplier as well. Your Excellency, you also touched on this really, for me, a very exciting development. I mean, we follow the hydrogen markets quite closely. There's been a lot of talk on the reuse of hydrogen, green, blue, pink, etc. Now, it looks like what you and Siemens and Dehydron are working on may even challenge green hydrogen, because you announced this collaboration on just using natural hydrogen from carbon mineralization, which is in its early stages, but one would assume it's going to be quite cost competitive, because again, you're just using what's naturally there, obviously with a lot of technology. What's the potential, do you think, for that in terms of putting it to use for industrial consumption and power generation? Of course, power generation is the top of everyone's mind now, with the power that we're going to need for data centers, etc. How significant do you think this particular new type of technology find is?
Yeah, it has indeed a potential, but it is in very early stage. We've put the right steps. So we engaged, or we signed a MOU with Decahydron to explore the potential. We have the data. We have actually a well data that we can use it for studies. Now we signed MOU with Siemens and Decahydron for the development, whether the generation of using the white hydrogen to generate power, or to produce hydrogen and develop the industry. As you know, Sharjah is the UAE industrial hub. It accounts for 35% of the industries in Sharjah, in UAE. So we are working with Decahydron, Siemens, to explore, quantify the potential, and see what we'll do with it. The Northern Emirates and UAE market is basically having a strong demand in the energy. So we need every energy source. We need the gas,
Absolutely.
we need the solar, we need the hydrogen, and we are working with the right partners really to see the best way to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, let's talk a bit wider than the UAE as well, and where the UAE falls, and Sharjah and the UAE falls into, the regional gas market. I mean, clearly SNOC's role as a gas supplier and pipeline operator is very significant, particularly in the Northern Emirates. What is your point of view on how the regional gas market is going to develop in the next everyone looks at a 5-year trajectory, whether we're talking about equity markets or gas markets. As you just said there, huge demand for gas in the region. You have other suppliers as well. You've got Egypt that used to be a net supplier, now it's a net importer. There's so many dynamics around there. So how do you see the Northern Emirates plugging into the regional gas market in the future, if at all?
Yeah, indeed, we see a very strong demand for the gas in the region in general, and specific in the Northern Emirates. We could see the urbanization growth in the Northern Emirates is increasing a lot, and it's obvious in the development around us when we look outside. So we see the demand in general very strong in Northern Emirates, and consequently the gas, basically the base load supply for the energy will be higher. So, and this was strengthened by having additional gas lines or strategic gas lines in the Northern Emirates. The network is well developed, actually,
Yeah.
but due to the increase of the demand and ADNOC also plan of self-sufficiency for the UAE. Now we have a direct pipeline under construction from ADNOC sites on the onshore, landing in Sharjah. That will strengthen the position of Sharjah and put the Northern Emirates in I would call it in supply abundance, where we have pipeline coming from Dolphin, from ADNOC, legacy pipelines by Emirate or FIWA. Now it's called Ittihad We or Emirat Network, SNOC, DOSO pipelines. So we are seeing a development and increase on the network in the Northern Emirates to meet the high demand.
Absolutely. What about clean, sort of other fuels? I mean, moving away a bit from gas in terms of condensate markets, etc., and oil. What is the outlook, do you think, for SNOC, and how is it positioning itself in that particular market, if at all, or will your future focus, would you say, become more gas focused and less fuels, other fuels?
No, our portfolio actually balanced, and will continue to have a balanced, basically portfolio. We produce gas, condensate, and we trade LPG. So we are developing also our LPG trading capabilities. We used to supply the market of our production, LPG. Now we are importing, or we modify our terminal, and we are actually importing the LPG from external, from the international market to fulfill local needs of the Northern Emirates. Moving forward, we would like to import and export, also use our infrastructure to import and export. For the condensate and crude, we see also we could see a forecast of a growth, and that is already reported by OPEC and IEA, and it will plateau at certain period of time on the horizon. Is it after 10 years? We don't see it really in the next 5 years, but maybe on a 10 years or 15 years area. So that we see a demand increase. However, there is a supply also increase in the market from non-OPEC, with OPEC plus in the still as a group, and trying to stabilize the market. We see really the good demand, good management of the market. There is a new supplies from non-OPEC. So we see like a price cap and price floor, I would say, naturally happening between maybe OPEC plus controlling or basically stabilizing the market, putting a floor for the price, and extra supplies from non-OPEC putting a cap for it. But we see it is a stable and with an increase of demand. Maybe there is a downward pressure in prices, but it will be controlled.
Your Excellency Khamis Mazrouei, CEO of Sharjah National Oil Corporation, thanks so much for joining us today on the Global Energy Outlook Forum. It's been great to have your point of view. Thank you so much.
Thank you.